turn. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for 3.
Next with there it is in the center of the racetrack. Seattle Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, that's what's the coming the Derby. Wheel away, takes command. Lionheart is all hot. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's low of 1976.
We are minutes away from Kentucky Derby training, hours away from the Derby draw, and just 4 days away from the Kentucky Derby presented by Woodford Reserve. Good morning from Churchill Downs. It's the morning workout show presented by TwinSpires.com on a gorgeous Tuesday morning, Champions Day beneath the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs. Gorgeous weather, fast track, about 65 degrees. Let's take a look at the headlines as we approach morning training. Long Range Toddy and Restless Rider completed their final workouts for the Derby and Oaks respectively. The final workouts for all these horses, really. Bellafina arrived from the Oaks, the 2-1 morning line favorite, drew post 4 for the mile and an eighth test on Friday, May 3rd. And the Kentucky Derby draw is today, 10:45 a.m. here at Churchill Downs. Ed DeRosa alongside Brandon Staubel. Brandon, we've moved to the Plaza stage as the horses' preparations move into their final cycle.
Yeah, things are heating up here. The weather's great this morning, completely different from yesterday, about 20 degrees better out here. Feels fantastic. The horses are loving it. We happen to see Code of Honor just minutes ago schooling in the paddock, so it's getting exciting, and then we have more horses showing up today as well.
Yeah, and it's supposed to get even warmer, maybe 20 degrees from here this afternoon, so not surprised to see a horse in the paddock this morning versus this afternoon when it's about 85 degrees. We have a special guest alongside our other partner, James Scully, on the backside by the Lucas Gap. James, good morning.
Good morning, Ed. Good morning, Brandon. Yes, I am pleased to be joined here on the backstretch by John Court, the rider of Long Range Toddy in the Kentucky Derby. John, at age 58, you're set to become the oldest jockey to ride in the Kentucky Derby. You're known for your work ethic, galloping horses still in the morning, when most people who've won more than 4,300 races may choose not to. I was just wondering, what's your secret? How do you keep up with these younger generations of jockeys?
Well, I think it starts off with a passion and my commitment to be dedicated to the game. I love it. I've been coming out for decades, and I've continued to do so. So I'm very fortunate at this stage of my life to have my career going as strong as it is. So I try to really appreciate it and absorb it every day with appreciation.
You're trying to become the third jockey to win the Kentucky Derby in your 50s. Bill Shoemaker is the oldest, age 54. Mike Smith last year at age 52. Do you have appreciation for that fact that there's not many people that have done it before, and you're trying to become the third?
Oh, absolutely. There's a great appreciation, and it's very inspiring. So it just goes to show you that the possibility is always there, and it's alive and waiting for you.
I also want to go ahead and ask you about Long Range Toddy. You picked up the mount on him 2 starts back, and he promptly upset the first division of the Rebel Stakes, beat Improbable. Came back, didn't run as well in the slop in the Arkansas Derby. Just wanted you to tell us how he's doing, how you feel about his chances coming into Saturday.
Well, I've been watching him train, and from my observance, he's coming into the race perfectly. He's training forwardly. And I'm excited about that. And from what I understand and I've been told, and my observance is that he's doing as best as he ever has been doing. So it's going to happen.
We're looking at the workout yesterday, John. Long Range Toddy has worked here twice since the race on April 13th at Oaklawn Park. I thought this move was underappreciated yesterday. He looked good, really a strong gallop out. Did you get a chance to see it, and what were your thoughts upon this workout yesterday?
Well, I did see it, and my thoughts were all positive. I'm an optimist, and I thought he worked out impressively. What else can I say other than I was real pleased with it.
And finally, you've ridden in the Kentucky Derby 3 times before. This will be the first in 7 years, I believe. I wanted to ask you about some of the best horses you've ridden in your career. You've won over 4,300 races, earned more than $1 million. Who are some of the best horses you've ridden?
Well, some of the best horses around the Kentucky area would have been Wise Dan. He was very popular, and I really enjoyed riding him. He was a beast, and you just really had to be a passenger and stay out of his way, and he would take care of everything else. And then I had a family favorite at the time, Arch. And then I was very pleased with the horse I got to ride for the great horseman, the late Bobby Frankel with Le Wise d'Animo, and he was an impressive horse as well.
That's awesome about Wise Dan. Oh, okay. And one final question about Long Range Toddy. Where do you expect him to be situated in the early stages of the Kentucky Derby?
I imagine he'll be placed somewhere forwardly mid-pack, and we're just looking for a clean trip. So a lot of people ask me about the post position. No one wants the inside. No one wants the outside. We'd like to be somewhat centrally located. But more importantly, we need that efficient trip around the track to make everything happen magically.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it and wish you the best of luck on Saturday in the 145th running of the Kentucky Derby.
Thank you, James.
Back to you.
All right, thanks, James, and thank you, John Court and Brandon. We have the draw at 10:45, and John Court knows better than anyone, probably the rail, not the place anyone's going to want to be.
Yeah, I still remember that bet I made on Arch. He looking back on it, it wasn't the smartest decision, but yeah, that rail it can be tough, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, lots later on, especially on the draw show. But yeah, anything but the one would seem to be okay.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's take a look at the weather forecast for the upcoming week. Kentucky Derby Day, partly sunny, high 74, 20% chance of rain. Very much a moving target with the weather, Brandon. When will you see the weather and say, okay, I need to handicap for slop, or will you wait till Derby Day before worrying about it?
I'll factor it in, and I'll make sure I'm ready if it happens. You know, I don't want to wake up in the morning and then it's a sloppy track and then not be prepared. So I'll just make some notes as far as who likes it, who doesn't, and then go from there.
All right, 20% means 4-1, so hopefully we can fade that one. Here's the Kentucky Derby points leaderboard going into the draw. They'll enter today. We'll be eager to see who is on the AE list, but for now, this first board, everyone, of course, in the race led by Tacitus.
Yeah, Tacitus doing well here. Good work with Country House the other day. Omaha Beach obviously working well. We got to see Code of Honor. I'm excited to see Game Winner finally gallop today. I want to see what he looks like. Still waiting on Maximum Security. Probable pace setter, maybe. We'll see what they do in there. By my standards, I think your top selection right now. So.
And yeah, Maximum Security, I'm as eager to see him on the track as I am for his trainer to be here to answer some questions, maybe about his strategy for the race and his workout pattern. Eager to get your thoughts on that as well. And here are the also eligibles. If everyone enters, these three would be on the outside looking in, 21, 22, and 23 respectively. It sounded like Sueno might pull up stakes and just point to the Preakness, but we'll find out for sure at the draw today, 10:45 Eastern.
Yeah, and Signal Man had a nice breeze here the other day. Was kind of hoping he might be able to get in, but they'll save something if they can't get in and go somewhere else.
Yeah, plenty pointing to the Preakness for now, but of course, all eyes for us on the Kentucky Derby. Again, that draw presented by Ram, 10:45 a.m. Pills come out at 11. Let's take a look at Long Range Toddy again, his workout. We heard from jockey John Court. We'll hear from Steve Asmussen in a little bit, but right now let's hear from you, Brandon. A little quicker than what maybe people are used to seeing from Hall of Fame trainer Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, and let's a couple of things here. So the track was pretty quick. It has been very quick, so not really surprising. He probably wanted to go maybe more in the 48.2, 48.3 range, but 47.4, it's all about the way they do it in here, and you can see the ears up. Ryder's going to be checking the watch throughout at each pole here. You can see at the quarter pole, he'll take a look down right after he hits it and just kind of see where he's at, and then he'll do another one here at the 8th pole as well. And talk to John Court, you know, he watched the work. He was comfortable with it. Sounds like Steve Asmussen was pretty comfortable with it. He watches from the pony, and pretty much right there, Steve's right there on the pony, kind of making sure they don't go too fast. So I think it was a good move. He was reaching out well down the lane. You can see the ears kind of flopping, and a lot of Steve's horses also, too, know once they hit the wire in these very slow half-mile drills that it's kind of time to shut things down.
All right, and let's hear from Steve Asmussen, who was on that pony alongside.
He went very nicely, went over the racetrack very well. Worked him last week, worked him again this week. Thought that he had a lot more energy today. I thought, nice, cool morning, fast racetrack. Very laid back, very blue collar. It's kind of a horse has stepped it up when it mattered, has a lot of confidence in himself, and everybody that's around him sure has an affinity for him. John gave him an ideal trip in the Rebel, and I think that we will have to have some of that magic Saturday to have success. Extremely competitive race, 20 runners, nervous about the draw. hopefully he's away cleanly, gets good position with him, and I think Long Range Toddy will show up for him.
Brandon, one of the things that's great about this Classic Trail is we see the 2-year-olds, we see them progress to 3. One horse we got to see up close last year here at Churchill's, a 2-year-old was eventual champion, Breeders' Cup winner, game winner. He's back to try to become the first since Nyquist to win the Juvenile and the Derby, and we got our first look at him this week.
Yeah, very hard-knocking runner in here. Just really loves to fight. You can see him on the screen here. He was feeling good yesterday. Just did another jog. He had a 7-furlong work several days ago, so they probably didn't want to do too much off the plane when they first got here. You can see him. He looked good 2 days ago when he came out. He looked good yesterday. Very interested in this gallop. So when I see a horse that looks this good early on the track, I want him to continue to carry this flesh. I don't want to see a regression. I want to make sure that that coat is still shining. You can see he's got a little bounce in his step. He's just wanting to do a little more, and I like to see that. Looks like Jimmy Barnes maybe up there on the pony, just kind of giving him a tour of the track again. Today I'm expecting a spirited gallop. I'm not going to say he's going to go out there and start clicking off 12s, everything, but I just want to see a spirited gallop, but I want him to continue to carry that flesh. You can see the hind end is built up really nice. He's very fit for this. He should be really off of that 7-furlong workout.
And his stablemate Roadster arrived along with him. They were 1-2 respectively in the Santa Anita Derby. Roadster very different developmentally. Came on early for Bob Baffert, very long layoff, but undefeated this year, and here he is getting a spin over the track.
Yeah, you can see he's feeling good here. The ears are up. He's getting a decent push from behind, and Ryder's got a good hold. I mean, he's good energy. I mean, that's another important aspect of what we're watching here in the mornings. We're not really trying to knock horses so much. We just want to make sure they're carrying the good flesh. So that means a good coat, healthy coat, shiny coat. We want to make sure they have a little bit of bounce in their step, and you can see here he seems like he's doing okay.
One thing we know, Baffert likes to bring the team with him, and a big part of that team is exercise rider Humberto Gomez.
Well, Roster can be, as of right now, one of my favorites. It's just been a lot of work with him, and he's just going on a pick. He's training good. He's feeling really, really good. And game winner is obviously he's already a champion, and he won Breeders' Cup, and he's training super. He's very strong right now, very mature. And Improbable is another one that he's a little bit of a troublemaker, but he's really, really, really good right now. Very strong.
All right, thank you, Humberto. And another Southern California horse we're talking a lot about this week, Brandon, is likely favorite Omaha Beach. Mike Smith had a big decision. I think he made the right one. He didn't ask me, but I think Omaha Beach is the horse to beat.
Yeah, you would have to think so. Very tough decision, but you can see Omaha Beach here on the screen just doing well after that 59 breeze the other day. Now, I've been asked a lot to kind of compare that breeze with the War of Will breeze. If you ask me, in my opinion, I thought the Omaha Beach breeze was a little better just because I saw Omaha Beach relax a little more than I did War of Will. War of Will very into the bit. War of Will's going to show a lot of speed, I think, in the Derby, but I like to see that Omaha Beach can actually sit back and relax if needed. We did see that in the Arkansas Derby when Mike made the early move and then the horse came back to him.
Yeah, one thing we know, Racing Hall of Fame trainer Richard Mandela seems very confident and comfortable this week. Let's see what Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith feels about his chances.
Extremely tough. Probably the hardest one I've ever had to make in my 37 years of riding. Trying to pick between two horses, and so basically it was I just picked for this race just to figure it out because I couldn't choose between the two. They're both so talented. I thought that Bob has 3 of the horses to beat in the Derby, and this horse has been blessed to have beaten 2 of them already, so that was kind of the deciding factor. And he's got a little more seasoning right now than Roadsters, so he's doing really well. We're excited. We just hope we made the right choice. We'll see.
All right, thank you, Mike Smith. Yep, that's the great thing about Derby Week is we actually do get to find out the results May 4th, the finish line, the ultimate arbiter. We do have some social media questions, Brandon. We'd like this to be a very interactive show, so for those watching on Facebook Live or along on Twitter, please do send in your questions. That's what Greg did. He wants to know of this Derby field, who is the most likely Triple Crown winner should they win on Saturday?
Well, I mean, I would think you have to say Omaha Beach. Game winner, maybe a close second.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, it's a very competitive group, but I think if you rise above this cream, very likely that one of those would be the ones to keep it going, especially game winner after what we saw him do in the fall. Bill from Facebook wants to know if Maximum Security has arrived yet. He has not, but as I said at the top of the show, Brandon, definitely one of the enigmatic horses we're very eager to see train and hear from his connections.
Yeah, also when he gets here, I want to see how spirited these gallops are. We're going to talk about it, but Jason Service just trains a different way than most of these other guys. A lot of long, slow gallops, building stamina, but his horses still tend to show a little speed. So interested to see how relaxed or how geared up Maximum Security gets when he gets here.
Glad to hear you mention stamina, because Michael on Facebook was curious the best closers for the Tri and Superfecta. That does seem to be an angle people like to employ when betting the Derby, not necessarily all about finding the winner, but finding that good price that can crash the exotics and really blow things up. Anyone catch your eye for maybe a slice at a big price running late?
We haven't seen him yet, but we did see a workout video a few days ago. But High Call, a runner that may be a one-turn closer, but a horse that tries as hard as he can every time in there. So High Call may be closing late, maybe like a Super Key, maybe something.
Yeah, I like him too. I've heard, Country House obviously gets a lot of chatter in that regard, a few others. But I think the Wood Memorial has a chance to be a key race this year, and he finished third, and I like the two in front of him as well. So with you there on High Call. Another way to enjoy the Derby festivities, really all week, Thurby, Oaks, and Derby, is with our 50-50 raffle. It benefits charity, and you don't need to be on track to do it. You could visit derbygives.com for information on getting in the 50-50 raffle. $50,000 on Kentucky Derby Day. And again, you can go to derbygives.com. We'll be right back. We're going to talk Kentucky Oaks. Plenty of Derby chatter so far. Oaks next. Please join us then. We'll be right back.
With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today. With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today.
Back at Churchill Downs, getting ready for morning training, 7:30. Morning workouts presented by TwinSpires.com. And a special welcome to all of those on track. Dawn at the Downs presented by LaCroix. We're so glad you're here. We hope you enjoy your breakfast. We know you're going to enjoy seeing the horses on the track, and how can you not? Look at these conditions. Track rated as fast. 61 degrees, gentle breeze, mostly cloudy, to welcome everyone to Champions Day at Churchill Downs. We'll be welcoming the horses on the track shortly. I'm Ed DeRosso alongside Brandon Staubel. Brandon, we have had plenty of Derby chatter so far, but we had a big day on the Oaks front yesterday. Restless Rider getting her final tune-up, and the horses getting assigned their post positions, and unfortunately for Restless Rider, drew outside in the 14.
Yeah, fun time at the draw. I like the fact, too, you've got the speed, Ed, kind of separated. You've got some speed in 13, you've got some speed with motion and motion in the 8, and a little bit of speed on the inside. It's kind of going to be a fun little matchup. I'm a big fan of trying to predict pace before the race happens in there, so it's going to be interesting to see that first run. You're not going to want to lose ground, but at the same time, if you have speed from the outside, you have to try to get over.
Yep, and speaking of pace, obviously always a big question in the Kentucky Derby as well, and a big question of who's going to set the pace. One possibility is this horse here, seen winning the Florida Derby on the front end. It's Maximum Security.
Yeah, and everybody that hears me talk on the simulcast feed or just on track live, I'm a big fan of the Brisnet pace ratings in here. This pace rating for the Florida Derby, minus 22, minus 25. That's about as slow as you're going to see in there. He said easy fractions early, and there's no question why he was able to go ahead and extend the lead late. He went so slow early in there, Ed.
Yeah, and you definitely don't you definitely do want to be forwardly placed turning for home. This is the 1 mile mark. We see the last, 5 winners were in the top 3 of the last 5 in first, and even many of them you have to go all the way back to Mind That Bird for a real deep closer.
Yeah, especially since the points have changed here. We don't get as many sprinters in here stretching out, so everybody making that move, and you can see a little bit too, Ed, a little bit of a West Coast bias on there as well.
Yep, and West Coast for sure, and this is the pace at the stretch, and as you you can see, everyone first, second, or third, and then even Mind That Bird, very known as a deep closer, had made the lead at the stretch call.
Yeah, you have to be in the middle of your move, and the biggest thing in that big field, you have to get the trip, too. You can't get stopped at any point.
Yeah, and that's one thing with Maximum Security. Yes, very slow pace, but he did get an extremely fast late pace rating, so he put himself into the race even after that slow pace.
He did, and you can see on there, it just pays to be close up, and that California speed plays really well here at Churchill.
All right, well, we will go back to the Oaks, Oaks Day forecast, in fact, and waiting to see that on the screen, but it seems to be a moving target as we saw in the Kentucky Derby as well, and here it is, mostly cloudy, high 73, 40% chance of rain. Was that 6 to 5, 7 to 5, 3 to 2? And here is the Oaks field. It's official now, Brandon. We had the points leaders earlier for the Derby, but this is the actual Oaks field, full 14 and 2 on the AE list.
Yeah, you've got some horses like Jaywalk, Restless Rider maybe a little bit that are trying to regain that form that they showed before. Horses trying to step up, Champagne Anyone, Street Band, very dangerous in here for a guy that's won the Oaks 3 times, and Larry Jones.
Yeah, and Jaywalk sort of the even further along, or furtherly different than Game Winner. Both won the Breeders' Cup. Both have not won this year. Bellafina, the 2-to-1 morning line favorite. She's set to arrive soon, and she's definitely the horse to beat here.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at Bellafina here on the screen. Her last drill of April 26th. Usually works solo in here, just trying to keep her happy. You can see a little bit of a wide base up front, but she really powers home from behind well. $800,000 purchase as a 2-year-old. Big things were expected of her early on. You can see she'll just get a little nudge here late to the wire. This was just something easy to build some stamina, a little bit of gallop out. They didn't want to do nothing too much before the work. You can see the hind end behind, extremely fit for this head.
Bellafina, the horse to beat. Restless Rider, I thought, had a good chance of being second choice. Post 14 might hurt that, and the beneficiary odds-wise might be Champagne Anyone. Winner at Gulfstream last out. She might be second choice now with a more ideal draw.
Yeah, and I love when horses can show a little bit more in their races when they make an equipment change. Added the blinkers last time, just showed some nice fight to the wire. Sat up a little close. We heard you interview Ian Wilkes yesterday. Their plan may be to take back a little more than they did in that last race because there is so much speed in here.
Yeah, Mark Cassidy as well, mentioning taking back perhaps with Chocolate Kisses in the Oaks. Should be a fairly honest pace the way the draw shaped out. Serengeti Empress on the outside, some other speed on the inside, and Ian Wilkes says he hopes there's speed. Here he is talking after the post position draw. But Ian, post 10 for Champagne Anyone, not too bad?
No, that's fine with me.
Were you hoping to see your filly throughout the race?
Yeah, that's no, I haven't talked to Chris yet about it. You know, there's plenty of time. You know, we've got a few more days of training and make sure we don't mess up or anything like that. And where she ends up, we're going to play the break. You know, the filly, you know, laid a little closer last time. It was slow pace. There's a lot of speed in the race. As Mark said earlier, you know, sometimes you read all the speed and no one goes, you know. So if they don't go, we can lay closer. If they go, we can lay back.
Yeah, and the outside post helps with that a little bit. Get a lay of the land, as you said, after you play the break. Been fortunate enough to be around a lot of good horses in your career, both your own and Carl Nafsker's, Street Sense being one of them. How is this filly like that Kentucky Derby winner?
Oh, this filly, you know, it's just getting better. That's one thing about her, you know, just like Street Sense was probably a little more precocious as a 2-year-old, which he showed it, and more racing. This filly's getting better and better with the training coming into this race has been spot on.
So you see her as even improving off that last win?
She has to. You know, this is a good field. If she doesn't, we can't win, you know, so she has to improve, and I feel she has improved.
Another horse looking to improve off her last win, Brandon, is Street Band, who won the Fairground Oaks on that Louisiana Derby undercard. Was a big price that day. Figures to be a long shot in here as well.
Yeah, I didn't expect the race that we saw last time in that Fairgrounds Oaks, but Larry Jones known to improve his fillies. We talked about he's won the Oaks 3 times before, and this is a very dangerous runner. Sophie Doyle getting a chance to step up to the big stage in here, but you'll hear Larry maybe in just a minute, but Rosie did the same thing when she started her trend upward. Yeah, and Sophie Doyle, very excited to have this mount, not just to be in the race, but definitely get the sense she's here to win. I was there that Fairgrounds Oaks day, and the horse just blew him away, even at the big
big price. Was definitely, I thought, much the best. One Serengeti Empress backed out of it. Another winner of her last, Lady Apple. Very interesting morning line with this one. She won the fantasy at Oaklawn and is 20-1. The pace setter she collared, Motion to Motion, 15-1. I do think the fillies down in Arkansas this year may be a little underappreciated. This one definitely deserves a look off that win at 20-1 morning line.
Yeah, she's going to be my top pick, Ed. I really like that last race in there. She showed a lot of fight. She was game on the inside. It takes a lot for some of these younger fillies to be able to go up the rail. She's also 3 for 3 this year, and this is a filly that's improving. And if you go back and watch that last replay, past the wire after she passes Motion to Motion, she pricks those ears up like she's ready for more. I love to see that.
All right, Steve Asmussen, trainer of Summerly, who won the Oaks, has Lady Apple here, and so much for 20-1 if she's your top pick. We'll see if you move the board on Oaks Day. Another winner of her final prep, another upset winner, out for a spin, took the Ashland down on the rail. Dallas Stewart didn't seem too bothered by it, though.
No, I think he knows that from the rail, she's got speed. We have to probably go ahead and use a little bit of it. You don't want to get shuffled back in that first turn, so I'm expecting a forward position in there, but I'm going to say she's not going to be on the lead. I'm going to say they're going to let the others go from the outside, and she's going to try to tuck in and maybe get that clean trip where if somebody opens up around the turn, the far turn, and she can sneak through that hole, that'll be what they do.
One filly that she held at bay in the Ashland was Restless Rider, who had her final tune-up for trainer Ken McPeak. 4 furlongs in 49-3. Kenny, what did you think of the work?
Nice, easy half mile. It was the same pattern that we put into her when she won the Alcibiades last fall. And she had a nice, she drug Brian to the pole here and then could have probably gone faster, but I told him just something easy, 49, and leave plenty of energy in her for Friday. She's actually pretty easy. She's actually sometimes too quiet. It makes you worry, but she's all class, and she's never been less than second in her life. So there's every expectation she'll go out there and do what we need her to do.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Brandon, we got your top pick already. I'm not sure if James is ready to give his, but he is standing down at the Lucas Gap to give us his thoughts on this Oaks field. James?
Ed, I am ready for my pick, and I'll just say this. Bellafina drew post 4. You guys made a great point yesterday on the show. That theoretically should be perfect if she settles into a stalking trip behind the speed. My only concern is she's really never done that. She's more of an early presser. She likes to be up close to the pace with nothing in front of her. There's still a chance she could use those tactics and win, and there's a chance she could settle, wait for her cue, and roll home in the stretch. But I'm the type of person who doesn't like to wager on a first-time proposition in a Grade 1 stakes race. So I am going to go with Champagne Anyone. I really like the way she ran last time, stretching back out to 2 turns with the addition of blinkers. She is a stalking type. I think she'll get the right trip behind the speed and finish up fastest of all to win the 145th edition of the Kentucky Oaks on Friday.
I like it, and that Kentucky Oaks, a part of the $2 pick 6, all Grade 1 races. Brandon with the 20-1 could really blow it up, and even Champagne Anyone beating Bellafina could provide big balloons. So we've talked a lot this week. We've seen horses on the track. We still have some arrivals expected today. We won't see them on the track until tomorrow, but Cutting Humor and Spinoff for Todd, Vacoma, and Maximum Security complete the bunch.
Yeah, Florida-based horses in there, and there was a lot of talk that, Justify came in without any really experience over the track, and several others have done it, so it's not as big of a thing anymore to come in really, really early. So a lot of these trainers choosing to stay in Florida. Also, the weather situation is a big factor in why they decide to stay in Florida this late.
Yeah, the weather's been great here, but obviously a moving target, so you never know. We have training in a few minutes, and in a few hours, it's the Kentucky Derby draw presented by Ram. 10:45 a.m. We'll be live streaming NBC Sports Kentucky Derby. We're looking forward to how those pills shake out and where the horses end up. And when we come back, it'll be training time. Horses on the track, training for the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks. Join us then.
With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today.
Where the sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. It's summer, the people are gay. The corn tops ripe and the fields are all in bloom, and the birds make music all the day.
Today,
We share the best of Kentucky. It's our Woodford way.
With TwinSpires.com, you can bet the Kentucky Derby, place legal wagers, and watch live horse racing on any device. New players download now to start your $100 sign-up bonus. Sign up, play, and win today.
We are back at Churchill Downs, and all the way from Japan via Chicago and Keeneland and Lexington is Master Fencer. Our first look at him on the track. He has been training at Keeneland, Brandon. We've seen some video of that, but about to get his first spin on the Churchill surface after arriving yesterday.
Yeah, even though he arrived yesterday, like you said, he's been at Keeneland, so I would expect him to gallop today. I mean, I don't know what these guys, as far as training, really want to do. That's just a guess on my part, but I would expect him, since he's been doing work at Keeneland, to kind of go right back into that work with the race being so close.
All right, it's hat season in Louisville, and how about that hood?
Yeah, nice pink. Maybe they'll switch up the colors for Derby. They didn't want to clash with the saddle.
No, that is sharp, though. Yeah, if he gets 8, probably, well, maybe he would wear that in 8, but otherwise, looking forward to seeing him on the track. And Brandon, we've certainly had our experience seeing international horses, thanks to the UAE Derby, Mendelssohn, Thunder Snow most recently come to mind. We had Lonnie a few years ago from Japan. For what you do, what's sort of your approach when seeing these international horses getting their first taste of American soil?
Yeah, I mean, the first couple things is the energy, and then I want to take a look at what we call the flesh, the coat. I just want to see that you've got a nice coat when you come in, that you've got a little bit of energy in here, and you can see they've already come on the track. They're going to head the right way, and we'll see what they end up doing. They may go to the gate. We'll find out in just a second. But yeah, the coat and then the energy are the biggest things. I don't really want to pick up too many things early on, first time seeing the horse, saying that he's, if he's bucking or getting hot, because maybe that's just him. Let's figure out who he is.
Right.
Give him the next couple of days. Let's get used to him. But you can see there he's just kind of bobbing the head. He's feeling good. So far, so good. First time on the track.
All right, Julian Leparoux with the mount. He's looking for his first Derby win. Probably one of the more of the outsiders from an odds perspective, but definitely looking forward to seeing him open up a little more. And great experience for those here. Again, Dawn at the Downs, presented by LaCroix, to get to see these animals. And the first look at Master Fencer via Keeneland from Japan. So, yeah, so part of the fun, seeing these horses on the track.
The other thing, too, Ed, is confidence, too. I want to see confidence from these horses. You can see Master Fencer there. He was getting a little worked up, but he just had a nice little strut to him, and you like to see that out there.
All right, back at Churchill Downs, she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies en route to championship honors last year, is Jaywalk, and she's looking to rebound from a couple of poor efforts.
Yeah, she really disappointed first time back. I mean, that field, there wasn't too much in there. I know a couple of them have come back to run well out of the race. And then last time, really no excuse, was on the lead over a speed favoring surface in there. So in my opinion, she really has to step up her game. And as far as a wagering perspective, I'm going to be against her.
Yeah, even at 8-1, seems the price isn't right for the way she's going. But have to say, unwavering confidence from the connections. I remember after the Ashland, they were kind of, well, why wouldn't we go to the Oak? So in the famous words of Lucas, we got it right where we want her. From Jaywalk, who may have been the favorite if she had won out this year, to the actual favorite who has won all her races this year. Here's our look at Bellafina on the track, 2-1 morning line favorite, post 4.
Yeah, first time on the track, we're getting a chance to see her. They just want to give her a chance to just settle, get her to relax, and kind of take everything in. And you can see she's kind of looking around a little bit in there. They're trying to, the guy on the lead pony is just trying to pet her, keep her a little calm, and make sure she doesn't get too worked up. And this is great. I mean, this is great horsemanship here. Just kind of let her take everything in before she starts moving around a little bit, gets that nice bob going. You can see the ears are up in there. But, yeah, she's just kind of taking everything in. It's a new setting. She hasn't been here in a few months, so she gets into a nice little jog there. She's probably going to be a little worked up, and we'll just continue to follow her over the next couple days.
We've talked a lot about pace in both races today. If she were to run her best shot, a winning race in the Oaks, when do you expect her to take command?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to the Derby. I mean, you're going to want to be there right around the quarter pole or the 3/8 pole. One of my biggest knocks on Bellafina, she looks good on the screen. She's a 6 for 8 lifetime. I mean, that speaks for itself. But they've kind of got her in this little mini cycle pattern, and it seems like her best races come off of the first race of that cycle, and the second one, even if she wins, maybe not so much as good.
All right, and here's Omaha Beach, certainly in the good part of his cycle after starting his career with a 0 streak, but Mike Smith chooses him off the 2 stakes wins, and he's going to be the Derby favorite.
Yeah, when you have speed, and it's important that you have a good mind as well, and Mike Smith showed that in the Arkansas Derby. He was able to make an early move. The horse came back to him, and he still had enough punch late.
Here's Wood Memorial winner Tacitus, like Omaha Beach, winning his final prep, and actually the points leader by virtue of what he's racked up. Bill Mott looking for his first win. I believe that's him with him.
Yeah, that's Bill up on the pony. Like the way that when Tacitus, even though he was slightly down at the wire, Tacitus re-engaged the team, that fun little team we had the other day on the gallop out, and put a little head in front.
Hitting all the 100-point winners, Roadster, he defeated champion game winner in the Santa Anita Derby.
Yeah, you can see just kind of warming up into a light little jog in there. He's got the neck bow. They're just trying to keep him relaxed. And, probably another jog today or a gallop. We'll see what they try to do. It's talked to Joe about this the other day. It's about individualization, the trainers knowing what they need to do for each horse.
There's Master Fencer moving maybe a little bit faster than when we first took a look at him, but maybe about to do a little more here.
Yeah, after the Lonnie experiment here, when the horse would be out for 30 to 45 minutes at a time on the track, we'll get a gauge maybe for today what we're going to see, but it looks good out there early on. There's nothing to knock right now. It looks good, and I like to take a look behind on the horse too. You want to check fitness. It looks okay to me, and we'll see once he kind of warms up a little bit what he looks like.
Do you remember when Casino Drive was doing like 3 miles at Belmont? So part of the fun, seeing how all these operations do things differently. Tax, a long shot I'm very interested in, Brandon, runner-up to the previously seen Tacitus in the Wood Memorial. You mentioned Brisnet earlier. This is one with 3 triple-digit Brisnet speed ratings. I think maybe the only one in the field with that. I think he's dangerous at a big price.
I completely agree. He's going to be right now in my top 3 selections. He may not be the top pick, but he's going to be right up there. A horse with the triple-digit Brisnet speed figures that you talked about. He also, on the pace figure standpoint, has been able to stay somewhat close and show some tactical speed into some hot paces.
We saw that video of Call earlier this week working in New York. He has arrived in Kentucky for Karen McLaughlin. No stranger to crashing the party at closing argument in 2005 at a big price, gets second. And as you mentioned earlier, I think this one's dangerous, at least underneath.
Yeah, just like a horse that loves to compete in there, and he's one-turn closer, more than likely, in my opinion, what he's going to end up being. But he just fights every time, and you love to see a horse like that that's not going to quit. If he gets a good trip, he could be up there at 30, 40 to 1 and really boost those superfecta.
We've had 3 straight days of a lot of activity, published works, head on a swivel, as our colleague Joe Christofek likes to say. A lot more horses on the track today, but obviously a lot more relaxed in terms of what they're doing.
Yeah, especially the ones that just arrived here. They're not going to look to do too much. We may see some gate schooling. We'll see some gallops today. I'm excited to see if we have any footage on Game Winner galloping a little bit. Roadster, it was a tough decision for Mike. He talked about it. Omaha Beach obviously doing well. Couldn't, the old saying, couldn't look any better out there.
Yeah, and see, high call. And speaking of doing more, Master Fencer away from the pony and getting some exercise in earnest.
Yeah, it's good. It's great to see. Like I said, he came from Keeneland. It's not like he just came over here on the plane. He's been here for a while. He's just been at Keeneland, a little more quiet over there. So we get to Churchill, get right back into the routine. He seems to be galloping fine to me. Looks good out there. He's alert and, being a good boy out there.
Yeah, very eager to see where the public lands on his price, but I don't think he's without a shot to get the 1.25 miles. Improbable, another one of Baffert's 3. He worked Sunday, was it, I believe? So this is his second day back, or first day back on the track?
Yeah, it's good to see him moving well like that. You can see that big reach he possesses out front. He's got the ears up. He's very alert in there. And it was interesting to hear the exercise rider talk about how he's kind of a bad boy. And, you could see it in the workout when he got a little aggressive early on with Florent Giroux. Giroux did a great job of kind of pulling him back in there. So it's good to see Improbable's moving great out there.
Yeah, and you mentioned hoping to see a little more from Roadster and Game Winner today. And here we are seeing a little more from Roadster.
Yeah, Roadster looks good out there. We just talked about the decision Mike had to make. And it was interesting right after the race, Bob Baffert takes Roadster to the gate, works him out of the gate in there, maybe to show a little more speed. Rider's got a good hold in here. Couldn't really knock anything on Roadster. I guess one of my biggest things is the distance with Roadster. I worry about he's not the biggest horse in the world, so I just kind of worry about that 1.25 miles, that extra 8 that he's going to have to negotiate.
Yeah, and for me, I think this is a really competitive group, evenly matched, and I don't want to say fitness an issue from a guy who's won the race 5 times, but all things being equal, I do think some others maybe came into their 3-year-old season in a better spot to lead up to the Derby. But as you said, hard to knock a Santa Anita Derby winner. Let's take a look at the UAE Derby winner, Plus Que Parfait, whose name will continue to try to get perfect, and his name means more than perfect, but here he is getting some exercise.
Yeah, he's looked good since I've been back in town, and even in his gallops. I know the workout 102 doesn't look like much on paper. We see the video, but they kind of just shut things down near the wire. But he's carried good flesh in here. He's moving well. Similar to Champagne 81, I love to see horses, when they make an equipment change, improve a little bit. He put the blinkers on for the UAE Derby, was able to kind of negotiate some traffic late. I like to see that. This is one that I'm going to keep into consideration for the exotics.
Yeah, and we talked about Master Fencer, certainly different styles internationally. This flips the script a little bit. We had an American horse win in Dubai. Now he's back here. Does that change the calculus for you in terms of preparation?
No, not so much, because we get to see him on the screen and see how they're doing. But he's looked good. I mean, that's tough to do. Come back and get back into things, and he's progressed well.
Yeah, no question. Tax. So we talked a little bit earlier about Maximum Security gets a lot of buzz for being in a maiden claimer for 16. This was actually claimed out of a maiden claimer. Danny Gargan looking for his first Derby win.
Yeah, congratulations to Connections for reaching in and claiming this one for 50. Tax got in very early, I believe yesterday, just kind of walked the shed row, so first day on track in here. Looks good, just kind of getting a feel for the surface. They don't want to do too much in there. Like the little break that he had between his last two races, kind of a couple-month break, a little freshening. You talked about those triple Brisnet speed figures in there. It's very interesting to me, kind of like a looking at Lee almost.
Yeah, no, you mentioned he's going to be among your picks. I think I have him fourth right now in my 10. One of those that certainly could see the post, shift some horses around, but he looks like he's doing a little bit this morning.
Yeah, he's got the ears up in there. That's one thing you like to see. And you see that left ear kind of flicking back. That means he's asking the rider, if you want me to do anything else, he's there for you. You can see the right ear flicking too. You just like to see those ears pricked, but they're kind of relaxed. That's showing me he's very relaxed right now. He's able to do a lot more if you want to, and then you'll see him hopefully get on his right lead here right now. And rider just kind of looking around in here. He's having fun. The horse is relaxed in here. He looks good.
What's the equipment for those maybe not familiar, including me?
Yeah, he's got the Cornell collar on, just helping with any type of throat issues, just trying to keep the soft palate relaxed, and just something that some trainers like to use, a guy that uses them a lot here at Churchill Owl
Okay, yeah, and it's somewhat of a connection there, because this horse previously owned by Claiborne. Al has trained for Claiborne before, of course, this now with Danny Gargan, as we mentioned earlier. And like you, yeah, I like him at a price. We'll see where he draws, but certainly has to factor. Where do you think he'll be on Derby Day?
I think he's going to be in that mid-pack flight in there. He's got tactical speed. I like to see a horse that has, I mean, fitness shouldn't be a problem in there. Back-to-back mile and an eighth races in there. He got a little, it looked like he got a little tired late, but like I talked about, he had that kind of 2-month freshening. Tacitus kind of, him and Tacitus kind of bumping on each other a little bit down the lane, was on his wrong lead, but he really fought to the wire. And Ed, I like to see this a lot too when they go around the turn again, to see those ears just kind of flopping back, telling me that he's got plenty left in the tank. He's moving well. I like what I see on the video.
And not sure what everyone else has done, but this is the most we've seen, so great to see the exercise and have you walk us through it. And yeah, certainly a dangerous horse, I think, at a big price. And what are we seeing now in terms of telling him the work's over?
Yeah, we're just seeing him get a nice little pull up there, and then he'll jog back. One thing you do want to watch after these gallops or works even is just how the horses also kind of go back to the barn. You want to see a little bit of bounce.
And here is Oaks entrant Positive Spirit getting a spin.
Yeah, you can see it looks maybe a little bit of a heavy type horse that you can tell by the races, kind of what I like to call a grinding horse, just always going to try really hard, but doesn't have that real quick turn of foot in there, and been running in the races in New York. You can see the ears up though, feeling well, and talked about it. You don't want to knock these horses too much, but carrying good flesh. You can see the good push from behind. The ears are up. Always talk about the exercise riders, how they do such a good job of keeping those hands low and keeping the horses relaxed.
Tacitus, of course, part of that vanguard that gave everyone a treat who was here, the impromptu, many works in company, all alone right now, though.
Yeah, I love the push he's getting from behind right now. You can see that that white and black gray tail there. I mean, that's just a nice looking runner. He's a big boy, but he's light on his feet is what I like to say. And same thing there. You can see the right ear, the left ear flicking back and forth, so he looks good.
Tacitus separated in his races from Stablemate Country House, but they were together in that aforementioned work along with Win Win Win. Here is Country House.
Yeah, maybe a little bit as far as the mental side of the game goes, maybe a little bit below Tacitus. Country House having some gait issues. He's kind of, back in Louisiana, he was kind of lugging in and out down the lane, still trying to figure it out. But if the light bulb goes on in the Derby, you better watch out, because he'll be a price. He'll be coming late. And he actually did have a head in front in that workout, and they did gallop out pretty strong in there in that that four-way workout that we had that was really fun the other day. But same thing here, ears are up, relaxed, and this is what you want to see if you're Bill Mott.
Yeah, and reading the tea leaves, Mott obviously not a guy that feels he has to push any horse to races like this, but sent the horse to Arkansas to get the points to get in here, and did just that with the third-place finish behind Omaha Beach and Improbable. So I agree with you. I mean, this horse is not here just because they were able to get in. They're waiting for the light bulb to go off.
Yeah, guys like Bill Mott, like a Shug McGahee. I mean, they don't just come to these races anymore just to run in them. They've Shug's won the race before. Bill Mott's won the biggest races there are out there. If they're here, they really believe they have a chance to win it.
And see horse, I think probably coming past the wire here. Rider looks well in hand.
Yeah, just got that right ear. It's just a big ears guy. Ears tell you so much on a horse. That right ear flicking back at the wire. Some horses just know where the wire is. Country House flicking that right ear back at the wire. Do you want me to keep going? And he's feeling good out there. And stamina is not going to be an issue here either.
This horse, possible candidate for last early?
Yeah, very, very likely, especially with the bit of a slow break last time in the Arkansas Derby.
All right, trying to get in, but still training as if he will as Signalman. Definitely, we've seen some AEs drop out of consideration, but also all things seem to indicate Kenny McPeek's dropping this name in, and they'll take their chances to get in the gate.
Yeah, and you're based here at Churchill, so it's not like they're shipping in from another track and they're just kind of hanging here. He's here anyway, so he's going to continue to train like he's going to run in the Derby, and I think that's the way to play it.
And I believe this is Leora for trainer Wayne Catalano. He has a head-to-head bet with out for a spins trainer Dallas Stewart. They're playing for a sack of crawfish and I think boiled shrimp. Yeah, so good head-to-head bet. But, of course, they're not looking to beat 1. They want to beat 13 on Friday.
Right, exactly. And so you'll see here this morning, I believe Leora has the blinkers on. Yeah, it looks like she has the blinkers on. She did not wear them yesterday in the training. So maybe the Catman trying to get her a little ramped up here today, and it's hard to tell on our screen. I believe the blinkers are on, but maybe just trying to do a little more today in here.
And here she is galloping.
I don't think they're on.
No, not on.
Yeah.
Okay. Second to Street Band, and really, I don't want to say no resistance. Sophie Doyle just with a very well-timed ride and slammed the door on him, but she did keep trying to run second there.
Yeah, this is an interesting horse in here, and it's hard to really get a gauge on the New Orleans fillies because you had Serengeti Empress kind of throw in a little dud. Street Band 2 races back wasn't like the Street Band that we saw last time, and then Leora putting the blinkers on, kind of getting a little tired late in there. So it's really hard for me to get a gauge on those 3.
Yeah, as much as the Derby horses traded blows early in the year, we definitely saw some more consistent form in that final round of preps with Tacitus and Omaha Beach in particular. Winning 2 stakes at the end, but the Oaks definitely all over the place, which is a big reason I think Bellafina is probably a bigger favorite than maybe in other years. She just keeps winning, whereas the others have chinks in the armor.
Yeah, trading punches in there, and you can see Leora just good bounce. Had a good bounce on the track yesterday. Has another good bounce in here today. Like I mentioned, it's kind of hard from where we're at to see the screen, but no blinkers. So just trying to keep this one relaxed. I'm assuming he'll put the blinkers back on in the Oaks, and she looks good out here. It's what you like to see that kind of bounce that she has up off the track. You like to see that. Rider's got a good hold. Beautiful ears are pricked. She's feeling good out there, and maybe one that I'm going to kind of move up just a little bit off the last 2 days.
Yeah, and, in this Oaks race, we have seen some fillies move backward from previous top form. Jaywalk comes to mind, but this is a horse, didn't win last out, but ran a race, and, I agree with you. Certainly one of those maybe in the mix at a decent price as she finishes up her workout here. Down on the backstretch, one of the great things, of course, is seeing all the who's who. Earlier I saw Mark Cassidy and Chad Brown walking behind some horses on the backside, and there's 5-time Kentucky Derby winner, 2-time Triple Crown winner, Bob Baffert, a legend in our midst, chewing the fat back there with some people, and we have footage of Signalman again, another one on the outside looking in, as we said, but Ken McPeek not shy on social media saying he thinks this one belongs.
Yeah, I think he belongs too, and you want to train him like, even though he's not technically in the race yet, you never know what's going to happen, so you want to train him like he's going to go. I thought his work the other day when I was here for it was really good. Easily bested a maiden here. This is a horse going to be third off the layoff in the Kentucky Derby if he gets in. very dangerous runner in here, and I just like that Kenny has a lot of confidence in him, and we need to go ahead. He's going to train anyways, but let's go ahead and train like we're going to run in the Derby.
This is the 7th Derby under the points era, Brandon, so still relatively small sample size, but certainly I've noticed in this past 7 years, fewer defections. I don't know if that's points oriented or just training in general, but I look back to after the Arkansas Derby at the Brisnet PPs that we put out in points order, and I looked at them going into today's draw, and no defections in the top 20. They've all been among the also eligibles. First year I can remember in the 3 weeks leading up to the Derby that not a single contender dropped out.
Yeah, and like you said, it may have something to do with the training nowadays. I mean, everybody's more spaced out a little more and less injuries. But, yeah, you have to just bring your horse up the way that you need to. And, I mean, that's probably a good thing, to be honest, you know.
Yeah, 38 points for this one, which actually ranks 22nd. Bodie Express, runner-up to maximum security in the Florida Derby. First one on the bubble with 40. Master Fencer, we saw him on the track earlier. Now we're going to see him in the Mass Mutual Paddock. Love that hood. Japanese horse getting a spin for the Paddock, Brandon.
Yeah, and I think that's actually, it was hard to tell earlier, but I believe Julian is up. So this is nice to see that Julian's actually out here with the horse getting a feel for him. So directly behind us right now, and looks good. You got a couple people taking photos. Obviously not the same type of paparazzi type feel it's going to be on Kentucky Derby Day, but it's good to see him relaxed out there with just a lot less amount of people as you're going to see now. A lot of these horses too, Ed, will come over during the week, maybe do a little bit of schooling as well, so I'll be interested to see what they do with that.
Yeah, and good call on Julian up, and a true international flavor to this horse from Japan, French jockey, and America's greatest race. That's what it's all about out here, and he's going into stall 8, must like pink.
Yeah, stall 8. I mean, those pink blinkers might stay on for the race now.
Yeah, that's his color.
So all you're seeing here is that he's going to back him into the stall and just kind of let him stand there and get used to it a little bit. They've got the lead pony there just in case, and just kind of get a feel for this. Paddock, every place is different. They actually just installed fans in each stall too, which is nice when these horses get a little worked up, have that nice breeze blowing on them. So you can see that they're kind of just trying to get him settled a little bit in there, and Julian doing a great job. Actually, no real problems there. So they'll go ahead and come out, and never really turned a hair. I mean, you know, it's usual. Excuse me. It's fine for a horse to get up there and kind of, you know, move the head around a little bit, but if they're actually up on their back legs or something like that, I mean, that's when you need to worry. But he did a great job in there. You can see maybe just a tad lathered up behind, but first day on the track, I thought he did great.
Now, no drama here, but did want to ask you, and you sort of led into this, if there had been an issue, he didn't like it, what's going on, is there time to correct, or would that be such a negative to you, like, oh, if he can't handle this on Tuesday morning, it's a downgrade on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, it's like what we talked about, everything. You want to kind of just add up everything each day. So I would take this into consideration today and then take a look at him tomorrow. How did he do the next day? I mean, because really smart horses will figure it out. The next day he could come out here if he did happen to act up. Tomorrow he could come out here and be a perfect gentleman.
All right, Master Fencer heading through that tunnel. Definitely one of the more emotional parts of Derby Day when those horses go out onto the track to my old Kentucky home. 4 days until that, but Master Fencer, no reason to think he won't be able to handle the din after what we just saw.
Yeah, what a great shot, too. Love the cameras in the paddock, just the horses walking out there. And Master Fencer, he's a little bit of a dark horse. He's going to be a price, but there was nothing that I saw today to be able to go ahead and knock him off your tickets in there.
Sponsors like that camera in the paddock, too, and a little bit early for a blue moon, but definitely thirsty after all this talking. It is Dawn at the Down, sponsored by LaCroix. That would actually be a refreshing beverage for this morning, and getting a good look at the pony. And
Elwood. This is Elwood and Michelle Lovell. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Michelle Lovell, someone who trains your horses, and definitely one of the finer horse people on the track is Michelle.
Yeah, Elwood's a star around here now. I saw him on the local news. He's everywhere, and everybody wants to pet Elwood, feed him some peppermints.
Well, part of the Derby experience definitely is coming out to Dawn at the Downs and getting those up close and personal looks. The next generation. It's a great time to be out here. So add it to your bucket list, or if you're local, come on out Wednesday and Thursday. Still an opportunity. Did see him on the track this morning live, Brandon, but we do have footage of Gray Magician getting his first spin. Runner-up in the UAE Derby, shipping east for Peter Miller.
Yeah, out it appears very early this morning, just kind of getting a feel for the track. We've seen many of the runners first time on track do this, just kind of getting a little bit of a light walk / jog. and just kind of getting their feet wet, so to say, dipping their toe into the pool right now. And it seems to be okay. We'll take this into consideration. There's not really much to note here other than the fact that he's just kind of getting used to the surroundings. He seems to be behaving himself, and we'll look for him to do a little more tomorrow.
Yeah, second to another American horse in the UA Derby. Be eager to see how that affects maybe some other horsemanship in over there in the coming years. Earlier, Code of Honor was also out. He was one of those that I mentioned also schooled in the paddock, as we just saw Master Fencer did. He comes into this Fountain of Youth winner for Racing Hall of Fame trainer Shug McGahee, who took this down in 2013 with Orb.
Yeah, showing a lot of energy, not only into the work, during the work, and then out of the work now, too. We saw him in the paddock earlier behind us, and him on track earlier, just carrying a lot of energy in here, which is, I think, good to see. I mean, a horse that's going to be coming from behind, I want to see that he can relax a little bit, but I think it's a good type of energy in here. He's feeling good, and like we said earlier, Shug wouldn't be here unless he thought this horse had a big chance. Also, with Johnny V passing up a couple of Todd Pletcher mounts in order to stay on Code of Honor gives you a lot of support, too.
Yeah, and certainly up against it, given that profile. You mentioned the brisk net pace in the Florida Derby. James had a great view from the backside. He's at the Lucas Gap. I know he saw a lot of famous trainers, but what'd you think of the horses, James?
Ed, it's always great to see these horses on the track for the first time here at Churchill Downs. Bellafina, Hakal, Master Fencer all look good out there. But the horse that impressed me the most this morning was Tax. He arrived from New York yesterday afternoon. We know he likes the track. He broke his maiden here, and he galloped 2 laps around Churchill Downs. I thought he looked phenomenal, looked full of himself, looks poised to run a good race. And Brandon mentioned how Tax had a freshening between the Withers and the Wood Memorial. Another horse that had a similar freshening was I'll Have Another in 2012. He was overlooked in the Kentucky Derby at 15-1 despite having earned a 102 brisk speed rating. And Tax has the same numbers and figures to be a long shot as well. So I liked what I saw from Tax this morning, guys.
All right, thanks, James. Good insights. Appreciate that. And we had a question on Facebook, Brandon, and I'm glad we did because it's a question I have as a supporter of this horse. Tina on Facebook wants to know about By My Standards. I loved him, and well, I didn't love him going into Louisiana Derby. I loved him coming out. I wish I loved him at 20-1, but he sort of had the mantle of the wise guy horse. Is it deserved?
I think so. I mean, you couldn't ask a horse to train any better in here. And you talk about, we always talk about with horses, the light bulb going on. This horse went from a maiden special weight win all the way to winning a Grade 1 Louisiana Derby. And he closed what was into a bit of a slow pace in there. So this horse is trained well out of the race. He's doing great. He's going to have 6 weeks into the race. I think he's ready for a big one.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm definitely going to be backing him pending the 1 hole. So 5% chance I end up having to go with someone else. But By My Standards, very eager to see him. I think we'll get 20-1. So a lot of horses on the track, Brandon. A lot of fun today.
Yeah, it was a great time. Good to see Master Fencer out. Nice to see what they're going to do. They didn't spend 45 minutes out here, so a little disappointed there.
Yeah.
But Tax looked good. I like to see High Call. Just some of the fresh faces. Every day, get to see a couple of new fresh faces in there. I think I agree with James. I thought Tax looked really good today.
All right, we'll see some fresh faces tomorrow as well, as we said at the top of the show. Todd Pletcher arriving, Vacoma as well, and Maximum Security. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to DerbyGives.com being a part of the 50-50 raffle here. Derby week, 30 Oaks End Derby, $50,000 on Kentucky Derby Day. If you're here, you can buy your ticket, but if you're not, you can go to DerbyGives.com. And, of course, plenty of ways to interact with the Derby online, Derby Gives being one of them. Check that out for the 50-50 raffle. And interact with us during the Derby draw. It's going to stream live on NBC Sports and Kentucky Derby channels. That starts at 10:45 Eastern. It's presented by Ram. Pills go in at about 11, and we'll know those Derby post positions shortly thereafter. Connections, probably hoping for anything but the 1, really.
Yeah, you talked about 5% chance of getting, and it seems like too. They always wait till the very end for the 1 hole. It's like it's kind of like the last 5 drawn. So.
All right, there's Elwood, as you mentioned, spreading some love to those here at Dawn at the Downs, presented by LaCroix. And we'll be back tomorrow, Dawn at the Downs, in the Morning Work Show, presented by TwinSpires.com. 7 a.m. Eastern is when that starts. Get our first look at Todd Pletcher's horses on the track. We're so glad you joined us today. 7 a.m. tomorrow. Join us then.